Startups. When I was started in this business, I can remember calling on a company, and we were soliciting them for sales, of course. So I said, you know, how are your color changes? Do you have any problems? No, no problems. How about material change? Any difficult changes? No, no trouble there. Well, how about startups? Any trouble there? Do you start up? Do you close down over the weekends? Yeah, we do. Oh, how are your startups? Are they troublesome or not? No, they're not troublesome at all. Okay, how long does it take you to start up on a Monday? About 4 hours. So I thought to myself, wow, you know, that's thought of as that's not a problem. That's just what it is. It takes 4 hours on Monday morning to start getting into good parts. It shouldn't have to. In most cases, it should not have to. The trick to reducing the downtime, the black specks, the dark streaking when you start up after a break, whether it's a weekend or a holiday, is to address the problem before the startup, which means at shutdown. What we strongly recommend, if you're having problems like this sort at startup, is to seal the machine when you shut down. What does this mean? So seal the machine means to keep the machine, the barrel, full of your purging compound. Again, if you're using your own home brew, make sure it's something that's very thermally stable. In our case, we have resins. Our compound is made to be thermally stable. It won't degrade over long periods of time. So what we recommend to our customers, empty the barrel, do the purge according to our instructions, get all of the previous purge out of there, the color, contaminations, whatever's in there, leave the barrel full, and then shut your heats off, or bank your heats, whatever your process is. What will happen is, if that barrel is full of a thermally stable purge compound, it's not going to allow oxygen into the barrel, air into the barrel. If you don't have oxygen, you're not going to have the oxidation of what's left over in the barrel. So, in our case, you can fill it with Asaclean, turn off the machine, leave it for as long as you want to leave it. While it's cooling, it's going to shrink to some extent, of course. As it's shrinking, it's going to do further cleaning by pulling off any contaminants from the screw, from the barrel. So even while it's just cooling down and shrinking, it's still cleaning. Then when you're ready to start up, you turn up your heats, make sure the purge compound is fully plasticized, and then purge it out. Once you remove that purging compound, you should be ready to go into good parts immediately. There should be no reason to be running scrap for 4 hours. This is a quick example of a test that we've done with a shutdown. You can see on the left column, we've left ABS in the barrel. After just several hours, you can see a significant amount of contamination. That's the middle slide. We then went into, after that shutdown, a clear polystyrene. You can see on the bottom slide, on that left column, that even after running that clear polystyrene, a considerable amount of burnt, degraded materials left in the barrel. On the right side is an example of what's been done after purging and after sealing with purging compound. So after 1 hour, no degradation. After 5 hours, again, no degradation. And then going into a clear polystyrene with using proper purging techniques, the purging compound is eliminated entirely. There's no degradation, no black specks, no brown streaks. Screw pulls. Now, I'm sorry? The video that the gentleman is holding up there is available at no charge at our booth. We're just around the corner. That video has all of our instructions in it. So we have demonstrations of what we're talking about there. In the case of the video, we don't have that slide, but we do show that process. So when we talk about screw pulls, you may think, well, a screw pull and purging are two different things and maybe mutually exclusive. Well, they're not, at least how we look at it. What we like to think about is, if you have to pull a screw, you're going to pull the screw and then you're going to manually clean it. That manual cleaning, of course, is time consuming and it's expensive. You got a guy or two guys sitting at the screw cleaning it off. What we want to do is let the machine clean the screw. So before you pull it, clean the screw. So once it's out, your work is minimized. So in the case of quality purging compound, before you pull the screw, run your purge, clean the screw as instructed. We have a specific grade, for example, that's made for screw pulls in large part. You pull the screw out at a recommended temperature, and that purge compound will peel right off the screw. And this goes back to the material affinity principle. It's not going to stick to the screw. It's not sticky. It's not going to leave residue. So you pull out the screw, and you can peel that purge compound right off. And then your cleaning becomes a spot here, a spot there, or maybe just wiping off the excess purging compound. So you don't use hours or whatever it may be of someone's time sitting at the screw manually scrubbing it. When we have a customer tell us, I'm pulling the screw because I just can't make this change without doing so. In some cases, they have to pull the screw for cross-contamination issues and medical applications or whatever. In that case, of course, the screw pull is required. But where it's not otherwise required, our goal is to eliminate the screw pull. We can't guarantee it, of course, but quite often we can, as I showed earlier in the slide. So if you're pulling your screw for a simple change, your goal is going to be not to have to pull it. If you still have to pull it anyway, our goal is going to be to minimize the time it's required by a person to clean that screw once it's out of the machine. Let the machine do the work. It's a lot stronger than a person. We sometimes get questioned by customers who do very long runs and eventually have contamination showing up in the middle of the run about preventive purging, which means basically in the middle of a run, while running good parts, to stop, do a purge, and then go back into that run. This is something I can't tell you, oh yes, you should do it every week, or you should do it every month, or whatever the case may be. But if you know that after 1 month of running this process, you're going to start to get that contamination and degradation, maybe after 2 weeks, do a preventive purge. Because if you've got to, for example, break down the machine after 1 month to clean off the carbon and deposits and that, you're probably looking at many hours, maybe many shifts. But if every, say, 2 weeks you run a preventive purge, maybe you'll keep that contamination from building up, and you'll reduce or eliminate the need to eventually pull the screw. So this is something we can't tell you exactly how often or when, but if you experiment, you may find that you, even in a run where you're not changing colors, you're not changing materials, you can prevent deposits building up and prevent the screw pull.